Hello, Grid Investor Network. I am Danielle Palloschi-Browne, and this is Raj Tamang, my partner and co-host for our Construction and Builder series. And this week we are at How to Read Blueprints Part 2 and Architectural Drawings of this section, Part 2. So what's really exciting and what we're going to go over today is how to read the cover sheet for your architectural plans and permits, what information's on there, and what you can learn just from reading those few first sheets. Okay, so Raj, let's dive into it. I'm going to share your screen. And so this is a typical cover sheet for a brand new construction property, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So what information can we find on here that's a little different, or maybe that this is more of a snapshot of the entire package of blueprints, correct?
Correct, yeah. So two things you have to use it. This is a cover sheet, right? And also, this is already approved by the county. So you'll see here cover sheet and code data. So design key codes. You have to say, generally there are two types of code. We call IRC and IBC. So IRC means International Residential Codes. That's what the code we use for residential construction, single family. IBC, International Building Code, that's for anything outside the residential construction, right? So the code information you'll see here and some of the information about the whole overall project. So this is every company is different, but in overall idea is the same. This is how we do in our office. So you see, front elevation. Some people, if you don't have a rendering, you could put front elevations of the house, single family house, and address. So sometimes if you're building, this is a spec home, but if you're building this house for a client and maybe their last name is Smith, and you can say Smith Residence, new house construction. So, it's like a snapshot. And you see the address, and the top left corner, this is what I was talking about, code analysis, right? Analysis. Building data, so project address, of course, and applicable code. See, this is a 2015 BRC, we call Virginia Residential Code. So Virginia Residential Code and IRC is very similar. So what they do is most of the states, they adopt IRC, they slightly modify to better suit the local environment, if that makes sense. Okay?
Yeah.
Because, so IRC will cover entire area, entire country. And I know there are some part of North America or South America, I think they still use IRC. But for residential construction, we use IRC entire country. So Virginia, they have adopted Virginia Residential Code, and there is also construction code, but that's pretty much the IRC slightly modified, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Right, and then some of the part of even though it's residential construction, some part of the building code, commercial construction, we have to use. So I enlist all of it: 2015 International Building Code, Energy Code, electrical code, because you definitely have electrical, 2015 Plumbing Code. All of this you list. Okay. And some of the information you list, let's say building area, so how much finished area, basement, how much basement square footage, first floor, garage, all the information here. Land use, R3, this is R1, R2, R3, R4, there are different categories. So this is R3, single family construction, that's part of the code. It's coming from the design code. All these things you listed, like you said before, if you read the cover page, you have some general idea about the project. Okay.
Now, does it appear, like, say you were doing a major renovation project or something that required, a lot of the similar permits that you're going to get for a new construction home, would this look any different, or would this look really different, or basically the same because you need all the same information?
Very similar. It depends because I've seen, some of the architects are very detailed, even renovations, addition project. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends how much budget they have. To be honest with you, if somebody
Yeah.
asking me, "Hey, I'm doing a two-story addition, and I'm gonna give you $3,000," I'm not gonna go that detail, right? And they
Yeah.
do, especially they're just trying to get enough information on the plan so that they can get a permit and build. They don't need anything detailed, but some of the projects high end, you have to go very detailed fire like this, depend the extent of the renovation addition you're doing on a project. But if you look
Yeah.
at a very nicely well put renovation project, you'll see cover page like this. Some of the things you will see, I will see in a renovation project, you will see demolition plan, which is the existing plan, the part of the demo walls or maybe bathrooms or some area you want to demo. So there would be
Mm-hmm.
demolition plan and saying, hey, this shows the demo, this shows the new. But here there is no demo, so there is no legend for the demo versus new, but it's slightly different. I have it, but maybe we can talk about that next time, so that they can
Sure.
see what's slightly different. You'll see a new construction versus renovation. So these are some of the current with the Fairfax County. So this is Fairfax County requirements for the insulation, right? Energy
Mm-hmm.
code. So, for example, ceiling has to be 38, R38. So now 39. Start wall has to be, exterior wall insulation has to be R15. Concrete, usually R13. Floor, all the information is here. Basic.
So it really is a snapshot of basically everything you plan on doing. So
Yeah.
if you read this before you dive deep into everything, you have a really good idea of what you're trying to do. Like if you're the reviewer for this permit and the plan, or if you're just someone, or if you're the contractor looking to get started on, or a subcontractor on any component of this, you've got a really great idea of exactly what you're building.
Correct. Yeah. So you won't know how big the house is, what the specification is, what kind of finishes you are doing, but the basic idea about the project.
Awesome.
So now I also, some people, some architect, they don't, some people they do, but I do. I have a project team. So somebody needs to contact, like county needs to contact certain person on the team. I have that information there, phone number, email address, company. So for example, I have an owner, okay, Green Valley Homes. Who is the contact person, email, all that, see? And who is the designer and engineer? Here you go. Who is the civil engineer? Who is the general contractor? All the information is here. A snapshot. So
Which
if you
makes it
needed
easy for the reviewer to reach out to anybody if they had a question, and the person who could answer the question the fastest.
Yes. And also at the same time, let's say you are the project manager, you're a contractor on the site. Then let's say you need to contact the structural engineer because some issues on the site. So you have the contact person or a structural engineer you need to contact, for example, or owner, right? You may not have their information handy, but drawing, if you put their information there, so they know who to call if we needed to. So I have a civil engineer. So they know who the civil engineer is, who is the contact person. That's anything site related, right? Stormwater management. So I think this is very helpful if you put this information, and I always do.
Awesome.
And this is pretty much the snapshot from Google Map, right? It just tried to show the location, localized location, from the Google, you see all. And this is exactly the drawing index. Like all the seats inside the whole package, you'll see what it is. What is it? Basement, first floor, second floor, roof. What are structurals? This is the complete package. So if you see here, there is no electrical, plumbing, HVAC. In Fairfax County, we don't need it. So there are some parts like now, and I think in DC you definitely need electrical, plumbing, all that. But Maryland, I believe, I think they need it too, but in Virginia we don't need it. So you are asking how are you gonna do HVAC? So our HVAC contractor, they will submit a separate permit with a calculation. It's called manual J calculations with ductwork layout, all that they're gonna submit separately.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but you have to remember, even though they submitted, you have to, as a contractor, you need to coordinate with them, make sure where they are putting the ductwork. I don't want the ductwork everywhere on the basement ceiling, bulkhead, right? So you have to place them in a way that it doesn't look ugly. So that's something you still have to coordinate with them, but you don't have to include here as a part of permit documents.
Got it. Interesting.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting. I would have just thought it was included, like everything.
No, you don't have to. But like I said, this is a building permit, which is a main permit. Then you get trade permits, which is electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all that. So when he gets a HVAC permit, he needs to submit that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That sense. And this is all kind of abbreviation, like in the floor plan and in the entire drawing. If we don't write the whole sentence, then it becomes too clustered. The idea is try to put a minimum information, and so that the people who is reading it can understand it, but also very clear, not clustered. So we use a lot of this, abbreviations. Yes. So you'll see it here. This is just the things, right? This is some of the design code, just the notes, what to follow, what to do, make sure everything is clean. This is more like, disclaimer.
Got it.
Some of the
Okay.
notes, they have to make sure we comply with the safety requirement, which is OSHA. All that this is more like a general standard note to make sure that you design, you build, you design it, build safely and structurally sound. Because I can design in a house which is structurally safe, but if the contractor doesn't do the job he's supposed to do, that defeats the purpose, right? So I'm not, as a structural engineer, I'm not involved in the construction, so I cannot take a responsibility of what goes on the site. So I'm putting disclaimer, hey, I'm designing it, I'm stamping. So you see it, I have my stamp here. So I'm a stamp, and nowadays you have to seal. This is a protected seat. This seat, you cannot make any changes. I protect it. So this PDF, you cannot do anything.
Got it. Okay.
So I protected all that. I'm sealing it, but again, I'm not going to the site to check how they do it. I'm not responsible. So those are the disclaimer things, and some of the things, you have to keep in mind when you do the work.
Cool. So what is there? I mean, that's really comprehensive. Anything else on this main page, or like something you would want to note for that? But I think, is there anything else, or really it seems like you've gone through everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly you have to go by it says one of the things you have to go the dimension, all the floor plans. We're going to go next week. We talk about the floor plan. So all the floor plan, you have all the dimensions.
Yes.
You have to go by dimensions. That's one of the disclaimers. Sometimes contractors, they just try to scale. The scale is not 100% correct. Even though this is drawn in the scale, you see it. This is scale in quarter-inch scale. Mm-hmm. The quarter-inch scale means that 1 inch means 4 feet, right? These drawings are in the actual scale, drawn in scale. So if you print it out in the scale, this is 24 inch by 36 inch size. If you have a 1 inch measurement, that means 4 feet.
Got it. Yep.
So they can use it, but I'm just throwing a disclaimer. You're not supposed to do it. You're supposed to go by the dimension, just in case that was not drawn in scale or was not printed correctly, right?
Sure, of course.
Some of the things like that. I mean, other things you have to make sure. Let's say one of the things to make sure when you're digging the foundation, if the soil is maybe bad soil. We don't know, right? Because you find out once you're digging the foundation, if it's bad soil, you cannot go in and quickly start putting foundation. You have to you have to call engineers, owners, hey, we have some issue here, and try to correct it. So if they don't call us, we don't know.
Yeah.
So things like that. This is mostly broadly, I would say mostly this is more good construction practice,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
But if
and
you're not honest, there's nothing you can do.
oh, for sure. And like as you're explaining it to me, at least I think of it from just a project understanding point for someone who is creating it, right? You're creating all of these plans so far. It's got everything from insulation to electrical plans, plumbing plans, those kinds of things. This is a really good way to almost have like a checklist before you put the permits and plans in, be like, is everything exactly what I thought? Like it's a good way to summarize it. But I think it's like a really good way to cross-check yourself before you submit plans too.
Yeah. I tell my all the project managers that they work with me, I tell them, please make sure you read these plans even 1,000 times you do. You have to remember everything. If you close, this is what I do in my office. The engineer and architect who is involved in the project, I told him you should be familiar with this project so much that when you close your eyes, you can actually walk through the whole house from the front door. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm walking through a front door, left, right. They really need to understand, especially project manager on the site. If you really don't understand the projects ins and out, and if there's some issue, how are you going to find out? Sometimes the framers, people are going to ask you and you don't know. So I always tell my project manager, please take a time to study the plan correctly, so that, if there is any information not there, you never know, or you need some, help, we can be prepared. Not on the day guys are asking and you looked at it first time, they say, I don't even know. What do we do? It's too late now, everything. What do we do? So, as a project manager, you have to make sure that you understand. I'm not saying that you have to know all the notes and everything, but you should at least fully understand what the project is about, all the code requirements, R15 insulation, R38 insulations, all those you need to know as a project manager.
Oh yeah, of course.
So,
Of course.
so
Well, thank you for walking us through this. This was tremendous. And I think it's a really good way to kick off what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks, which is going over floor plans and mechanical, electrical, all the sub contractor plans throughout the whole permit process and throughout the package. So I think this is a really good way to kick off that series.
And I also have you see here, you have a title block, right? Drawing always has a title block. This outside line is called a title block. And that title block is the same for every seat, right?
Yeah.
So if you see on a title block also, you see this is the name of the company. Let's say my company, we have a Green Valley Design Group. This is a design and engineering entity who prepare all the plans and for us, for the client. Because the reason I have two different entities is because these are engineering and architecture professional consulting, which you have to have a different type of insurance.
Yes.
So, and which is not cheap, okay? It's a lot of money. I just want to throw it out. So, when people say, "Can I do $100?" Dude, I pay like $10,000 more than that just for insurance. The professional liability insurance is very expensive.
Yes, it is. That's very true.
Then you have the client.
Oh, I think you froze, Raj.
We're broken.
Oh, you're back.
We're black now.
You were frozen, but
right?
you're back.
You see it now?
Yes. The last thing I heard you say was now we have the client information.
So this is the client. Who is the client, right? Their phone number. This is a seal, engineer seal, architect seal. What are the? You have a permit set. You can, depending on the size, it could be different. Or revision 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be different.
But it's consistent on every single page in the whole package.
Yeah, it's a single page on the whole package, exactly. And so that way you know that which project is, because you don't have a cover page on every seat. So that way you know that if you only have only foundation plan, looking at the cover page, you get some idea about the project. So this is the address, who prepared it, all the information, basic information here on title block. And
Awesome.
that's what I got for now.
Awesome. Okay, well, I learned a lot, so I'm really excited. I do
Thanks.
think this is going to be playing into what we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks, the specifics of each of the mechanical plans and where we go from here. So if you have any questions about these plans, the cover sheet, or what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, leave them in the comments and Raj and I will get back to you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend,
Thank
everyone.
you. See you guys next week.
Bye.